You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona, and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm happy to be back. Good to see you guys.
Yay! Welcome back, Victoria.
Thank you. Well, I am a moderate science fiction and fantasy nerd, as you probably know. And as such,
Noted,
I probably should have read, I probably should have read the much beloved Dune series by Frank Herbert, but I never have. I did actually start Dune as a teenager, or maybe it was my early 20s, but I made it about halfway through the book and I just could not finish it for some reason. I think maybe I was bored by the politics or something, but
there's a fair bit of that. Yeah,
there's a lot of politics. Yeah, I do remember really enjoying the vivid desert setting of the novel and being really intrigued with the technology that the characters use to capture any possible available water in their environment.
Seal suits, I believe.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
That's still as in distill. So whenever characters are out in the desert, they wear these still suits. They cover you from head to toe and collect all the water that you exhale or excrete from your body and recycle it to be reused. So your breath, your sweat, your urine.
Both fascinating and a little horrifying.
Yeah.
Yes, your feces as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
water is life.
I get it. Water's a really important resource, so.
So I was put in mind of these still suits recently when I saw this little news item about the red flower beetle, whose Latin name is Tribolium castaneum. That was a pretty easy one as Latin names go, Tribolium castaneum. So red flower beetles are an agricultural pest, as you might guess from their name. And they have an amazing ability to survive in very dry conditions. For example, containers of harvested wheat.
Oh, okay.
Which is a very dry environment, as it turns out.
It has to be, otherwise like mold and other things can get in there.
Right, yeah.
Exactly, yes. So it turns out that scientists have known for a while that one of the way these beetles survive in arid environments has to be that they are doing something with their rectums to conserve water.
Why?
God, that was not a phrase I was prepared for today. Okay.
Nope, I wasn't ready for that today.
They're doing something with their rectums.
They're beetles.
All right.
They have
We're going to talk about beetle butts today.
All right.
Beetle butts. All right.
Beetle butts.
Beetle butts for the win.
Previous research has shown that there was a gene called NHA1 that was involved in water conservation, and it was more active in the cells lining the rectum than anywhere else.
Okay.
You're going to say rectum a lot, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah, yep, I sure am. So at first they thought that the beetles were just really extra good at extracting extra water from their poop, which, they are, to be fair.
Okay.
Basically in insects have what's called renal tubules, which are kind of the equivalent of our kidneys.
Okay.
And once they've, excreted the wastes into this tubule, they empty out into the rectum, which is where the extra water is reabsorbed back into the insect's body. Now, this is for all insects.
Okay.
And, red flower beetles are very good at extracting water in that area. And as you know, there are other animals that are really good at this kind of thing too. Moving away from insects, like kangaroo rats are famous as a desert animal that actually don't need to drink water at all for some species of kangaroo rat, because they're able to get by with only the water they use from metabolizing their food, which is dry seeds, because their kidneys are so good at reabsorbing water into the body. But back to the flower beetles, scientists knew that these beetles were doing something to conserve water with the NHA1 gene. But again, they weren't totally sure exactly what it was. So this gene controls we're going to get a little technical here. It's a potassium hydrogen ion pump.
Okay.
So all the cells of your body or a beetle's body or any animal's body have ions that have different concentrations on the inside and the outside of them. And your cells have different proteins that can act as pumps to pump specific ions to where they need to go.
They sure do.
Yes, they do. And so this one pumps potassium. And what the scientists hypothesized is that the beetles are able to actually open their rectums to the air. And so then the potassium ions on the outside of the cells where they've been pumped attract the water because water is going to follow the concentration of an ion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so when the potassium re-enters the cell, the water follows the potassium. And that is the way, if I'm understanding this research correctly.
Can allow me to simplify this here and to see if I got this right?
Please do.
You're telling me they are basically opening their butt and like distilling water out of the air? Is that what's going on?
Exactly. Yes.
They are Tatooine moisture farmers with their butt.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That's right.
Simply stunning.
Truly not where I
this.
thought this was going to go today.
Well, I mean, I did sort of warn you with my intro about Dune.
I guess I'm impressed that they don't lose water that way. That is...
Well, they do this
but the Dune intro didn't really prepare me for,
beetles distilling water through their butt.
Yeah, anal water distillation, atmospheric water distillation. That's...
Yeah.
Woo! That was not in Dune, from what I remember.
I believe they preferentially open their rectums when the air humidity is high.
Well, at least they have preferences. That's important.
Oh, man.
Of course.
Yeah.
Got to respect their preferences.
But in this experiment, these scientists were able to deactivate the gene in some of the insects. And these particular...
Nice.
No, it's not. They did not survive as well in dry conditions as the unmodified ones.
Well, of course they wouldn't
it's some
survive
evidence
as well.
that this is what's happening.
Okay. Well, that
There's
makes sense.
so many possible jokes going through my head right now. They're all just
are they all
getting
butt
stuck
jokes?
And not able to fascinating.
Interestingly, though, it's actually been known for a while that mealworms can absorb water in the same way. Maybe through the same mechanism. The mechanism was not previously known. And mealworms are beetle larvae.
Right.
Although, within the beetle order, Coleoptera, they're not particularly closely related to red flower beetles. Sure. But, only the larval form of mealworms can do this trick, and the adults cannot. And so
Are we sure?
Well, I think they've checked.
Okay.
They've known about this
could check.
since like the 60s.
Someone's got down there with a magnifying glass just watching the...
Yeah.
See if
beetles.
they raise their butts to the sky.
Pretty much. So far this is the only adult beetle that is known to do this, but we don't know if it's something that is in fact more widespread in the beetle group or not.
Fascinating.
That is so more research
wild.
to be done.
Insane.
Yeah. Everybody get out there and start looking at beetles, I guess.
My main source this week was from Science News, and the original paper was from Muhammad Nassim and his colleagues in our favorite journal, PNAS, from March 2023.
Indeed. That is our favorite journal.
It's a good journal.
We are going to take...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, a short break, and we're going to come back, and Kirk will have something entirely different for us.
Strange by Nature podcast is brought to you by listeners like you who have joined the Society of Strange, our membership group on over at patreon.com/strangebynature. Society of Strange members can join at one of 3 different membership levels and help support the show and also get some fun stuff like water bottle stickers or access to super secret content. So a thank you to those who have joined already to help make this podcast possible. If you haven't joined yet, we'll see you soon over at the Society of Strange at patreon.com/strangebynature. See you soon. All right, so welcome back, everyone. This week, my topic comes to us from friend of the show, Mr. Brett W. Sieberer himself.
Oh my!
He sent me a link, and no, it's not that wild. Don't worry.
Does it involve jacketing a dolphin?
Oh,
it does not. No, it does not involve jacketing a dolphin or absorbing moisture through your butt or anything like that. To this link he sent me, he said it seemed right up my alley, and I'll admit, when I first sent it, I kind of dismissed it because I didn't think there was enough sort of to it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I took a deeper dive, I found something that just irritated me, and I'm like, well, there you go. Now I got to talk about this.
Oh, good.
You know what really grinds my gears? No, we'll get to
False information.
So here's the thing. I'm just going to lay it out. There are some people out there who apparently think that our sun is the color green.
What?
Yeah, there I said it. There are people who think the sun is green.
No.
That's the fact that put me over the edge. So let's sort this out, all right? Rachel and Victoria, help me out. What color is the sun?
Yellow.
Is it?
Whitish yellow.
Okay, maybe is it like...
So I'm glad you said that, because like if you ask a kid to draw the sun, at least here in the U.S., where we we give kids like crayons, right?
Right.
And they'll reach for that yellow crayon and they'll draw a big old yellow circle on the page, and there's the sun.
Right.
And I think because people tend to draw it that way as a kid, it probably influences our thinking about what color the sun is. If you go outside right now, if it's daytime, and look at the sun, unless it's sunset, you'll see that it isn't yellow.
Yeah,
the sun
like
is white.
Yeah. I suppose.
I guess it's
classified
all white. As a yellow dwarf, right? So, isn't it? In terms of star
it's been a while. I'd have to see where it falls on the what's the name of the... Testing my own nerddom
I'm
here.
Googling it right now.
There's a sequence of stars, and it has a name, and it's driving me crazy.
The sun is a G-type main sequence star, G2V, informally called a yellow dwarf. Although its light is actually white.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
but not green.
It's still not green.
I think you could give like white crayons to a kid, but kids are usually coloring on white paper.
Yeah.
So, if you tried to do that on white paper, you just have like a waxy smear. There's the sun. It would look like you didn't draw anything at all. So we do sometimes see the sun is yellow, like during sunsets, for example, because that's one of the few times you can look at it when it doesn't melt your eyeballs out. Don't stare at the sun, by the way. Not good for your eyes.
Don't do that.
But when it's filtered right at the horizon, you can glance at it, and it often does look yellow, right? So I think that's maybe when we see it the most, and also when when we were kids, we drew it that way. So we have yellow kind of stuck in our head. As a side note, when you're in space, the sun always looks white because there is no atmosphere to look through.
Makes sense.
And now that I think about it, I was trying to think like you would never be looking through the atmosphere if you're in space. You maybe could still see a colored sun very briefly as it rises behind the edge of the Earth from space. Yeah. And I wonder if you'd see some color involved, but it's a very quick because you're not looking through like lots of atmosphere. It's very quick when it occurs. But I wonder if there's some color when it comes to that little bit of atmosphere. So I have to admit, I kind of thought this was pretty common knowledge that the sun is white and not yellow. But as you guys green. Showed, like a lot of our instinct is to say, oh, the sun is yellow. There's apparently people online who are convinced that the sun isn't white, or at least wasn't white, and this is some kind of big conspiracy theory that the color of the sun changed. When I was a kid, it was always yellow, and they're like, now it's white. What happened? And it's like, oh no, that's not how it works, you guys.
No.
The sun has always been white. We just have used yellow crayons to draw it. So, if any of you happen to be listening and going, no, I swear it was yellow. The sun is yellow. I remember it being yellow. This is a mandala effect. The earth has changed on us or something. Here's the thing to think about. If you shine a yellow light on a white piece of paper, the paper will look yellow. So if our sun really was yellow, then everything on earth would be bathed in yellow light. We literally would not have white paper or white shirts or white painted houses.
Right.
Because anything you looked at outside that was white would appear yellow. So
right.
Just please stop.
Also, when we're learning about
the sun is white,
light theory and the spectrum and everything, we talk about the sunlight being white, and then the white light is split by a prism or whatever into
exactly.
a rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. So I do find this whole to not get off we're going to get to that, but I want to get on this crayon thing for a second. One thing I found out that's really interesting is apparently how we think about color choice as children probably affects how we think about the color of the sun as an adults. Apparently in Japan, kids often color the sun as red on art projects.
Okay.
And it makes just as much sense as yellow. The sun often looks red at sunrise and sunset. And in case people are not aware, the red dot on a Japanese flag is
the sun, right?
Represents the sun.
Land of the rising sun, Japan, right?
Yeah. So the old flag, with World War II flag was like the red
battle flag, I think,
sun with the lines on it, which was the rising sun. But I think now it's supposed to be like the sun is risen, like the lines aren't down there anymore. But this is not a podcast about flags, so just to point out that I think there is sort of like a clear cultural bias at work when we think about what color the sun is. So now that's all well and good, but it's just background noise to the point that got me hooked on this topic. Like I said, there are people out there on the internet mostly who are claiming that the sun is actually technically green. Now look, I'm a huge nerd. I love technicalities.
Yep.
I'm a fan of the show. Actually, shout out to Mike Trapp. But
such
look,
a great show.
It's amazing. You're taking things too far. Okay.
Yeah.
And let me explain.
Why?
The sun looks white to us because white is the color we see when our eyes are exposed to all the frequencies of light at once. And white is to light what like muddy brown is to paint. When you mix everything together with light, you get white. Okay. And actually, going back to my discussion on how we see the color purple a few episodes back, you don't really even need all the colors to make white. If you mix red, green, and blue light together, you see white. That's literally how your TV or computer or phone screen makes white light, is just by combining those three colors.
Yeah.
But when we look at the full color spectrum of light coming from the sun, what we see is that it emits light across the full spectrum of visible light. Thus, it is white. The light that we get from it is white.
Right.
So here's the issue, though. The light is not emitted evenly. The sun is brighter at certain frequencies, and the sun is bright. The brightest light from the sun is emitted at 500 nanometers, which I know no one listening knows what that means.
Well, that's right in the middle. That's green, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, people argue 500 nanometers is the brightest color, and we should actually say the sun is green.
Okay.
There's an article on the NASA website that essentially makes this argument. And here's my issue with that, you guys. First off, 500 nanometers isn't even green. It's cyan, which is more blue than green.
Okay.
But so as a lover of technicalities, it makes me kind of irrationally angry that someone would even call that color green, but whatever. That's a minor annoyance. Full credit to the author of the NASA article, actually, Lou Mayo. They do point out that it is blue-green, but there's people on the internet who have taken this idea and run with it and just keep saying that it's green. And I just want to say, please stop. The sun is not green. I actually did find another NASA article online where the author, whose name I won't share to avoid embarrassing them, insists that the brightest light from the sun is actually yellow, and that's why it looks yellow to us. And it's like,
oh no.
No, that's not right. Just look at the sky. It isn't yellow. And someone at NASA, this author, did not do their homework and just sort of assumed they knew something was true because they learned it in kindergarten. And look, it can happen to the best of us. Even science writers at NASA make assumptions and mistakes. It's okay. But, just because there is a lot of green light, that's the strongest light, doesn't negate the fact that the rest of the spectrum exists. And we are also seeing it. Yes, cyan is the frequency of the greatest intensity of light that comes from the sun. But to call the sun cyan because that's the brightest color ignores the fact that there are, in fact, other colors of light coming from the sun. And they are, insanely bright as well. And so it's like, yeah, the brightest is in that cyan, but everything else is like crazy, super bright. It's not like the other colors are really dim and it's like overpowered by the cyan. Mm-hmm. When you mix all the colors together, which they do, the resulting color, which very intensely has all the colors of the spectrum represented, is
white.
Unequivocally white. Yes, the sun is white.
Goodness.
So if you see like a website or something, they're trying to convince you that the sun is actually green. No, it's not. It's not. The sun gives off a ton of green light, but also a ton of red light, a ton of blue light. Like, it's really, really bright, right?
It's like it's
the entire spectrum.
And a star or something.
It's a plasma of superheated gas. Yeah, I mean, it's real hot. It's real hot. And the photosphere, which is the outer part where the light comes from, it gives off all the colors. The sun's white.
And beyond.
That's all I wanted to talk about.
The full spectrum beyond the visible spectrum as well.
And beyond, beyond what we can see as well. Yeah, but for our purposes, come on, it's white.
Yeah.
I love technicalities. And yeah, technically cyan's the brightest color, but it's white. That's it. I just wanted to tell you what really grinds my gears. When people try to say the sun is green, no, it's not. Please stop.
The sun isn't green.
No, it's not.
Thanks, Kirk.
That's all I've got. I just wanted to rant about the sun not being green. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break, and then Rachel hopefully won't be ranting about the color of the sun on her segment.
I'm not.
And we'll see you guys in a minute.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, after hearing that special rant about the sun.
Oh, I got going. You got me going.
Thanks,
fair. Brett.
Thanks, Brett. I'm actually going to be taking us also to Japan.
Oh, cool.
Not only Japan, but some others. We're going to the ocean. Okay. Big surprise.
Shocker. I am shocked, Rachel. Properly shocked that you would do a story involving the ocean.
Yeah, that's fair. But what has been found somewhat recently, super cool. So the ocean is full of, obviously, a wide variety of strange nature and strange critters and creatures, and
that's why we love it so much. Yeah,
that's why we love it.
You've told us about several of them, in fact.
Oh, I know, it's the best. But what I wanted to talk about today, which we've talked about periodically on this show with different relationships between animals. We've talked about symbiotic relationships before, but I wanted to bring to light a pretty cool one that has been studied more and more in recent years. What do y'all know about hermit crabs?
Hermit crabs?
Hermit crabs.
Oh, well, they're cute. People keep them as pets sometimes.
Yeah.
They borrow other creatures' shells.
Is Mr. Krabs a hermit crab?
He is a regular crab, I believe.
What kind of crab is Mr. Krabs?
Because he doesn't
Just
change
a
his shell.
regular crab.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
That's a total total aside there. Hermit crabs, people have them as pets,
Mm-hmm.
And they change their you can get different shells for them and they'll swap them out and
right. So
when they outgrow them, yeah.
So a key thing about hermit crabs is having those shells changing as they grow. They exchange shells.
Yes.
I believe David Attenborough, in one of his many nature documentaries, was able to show, like, there was a whole sequence of hermit crabs. Like, someone got a big shell and they all
Yeah,
a bunch of them
discard
lined
it.
up,
Yep.
and they all like changed into the new shells or whatever as they crawled in.
Everybody
which was pretty
swaps
cute.
one up in
Musical
order.
shells.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
There's another type of hermit crab. Generally speaking, it's blanket hermit crabs, I believe they're called. But they have a symbiotic relationship
Okay.
with about 5 different sea anemones.
Okay.
Do.
Phenomena. So they have a symbiotic relationship. Some hermit crab species have a symbiotic relationship with sea anemones. These are deep sea anemones.
Oh,
And
deep
the
sea ones,
relationship
okay.
is really fascinating. So these hermit crabs use deep sea anemones in a sort of symbiotic relationship. There's actually a new species that was described in 2022 named Stylobates calcifer. Yes, you heard that correctly.
Calcifer?
As in Howl's Moving Castle calcifer.
I was going to say Fire Demon from Hell's
Awesome.
Moving Castle.
Yes.
Love Calcifer.
Oh, so good. In fact, the
If you haven't
scientists
seen Howl's Moving Castle,
referenced
then you're missing
Howl's
out.
Moving Castle when they were talking about it. So this
That is splendid.
so fun. So this species of sea anemone, one of about 5 or so species of sea anemone that have been known to be in these symbiotic relationships with hermit crabs, they get attached to the hermit crab, finds a sea anemone, will attach it to its shell, and then carry around the sea
wow,
anemone
okay.
as it crawls around on the floor looking for food and things like that.
What?
Now the sea anemone
That's pretty good protection.
gets
Yeah.
fresh food and feeding grounds from being carried around the back of this hermit crab, and the hermit crab gets protection from potential predators. What's fascinating?
Yeah, this reminds me a little bit of the story about the boxer crabs who do a similar thing where they just hold on to them like boxing gloves.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Similarly to the boxer
So
club.
this is easier. You just put it on your back.
Exactly. But what's fascinating is scientists have actually seen these hermit crabs change over. When they change over their shells, they will pry the sea anemone off of their old shell and bring it with them
What?
to the new shell.
Oh, they're bringing their
Aw.
buddy with them.
They're bringing their buddy. Which
Or is it more like bringing your houseplant with you? I'm not sure. Or bringing your guard dog with you.
Well,
Still your buddy. I don't know.
researchers at the University of Tokyo, what they said, they compared it, at least this particular species of sea anemone, they compared it to the fire demon calcifer who lives in the castle for Howl's Moving Castle.
Nice.
Being you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
move and help build the home
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
of the place that you were
Outstanding.
living.
Calcifer has to go
So
with,
fun.
for sure.
Exactly. In order for it to be a home.
It all falls apart without Calcifer.
Exactly. Now, this isn't
That is
unheard
awesome.
of, but it's just so fun to have like these two creatures. This is not a super well-known relationship, and we just found a whole new species of sea anemone that does this. A lot of the time, the shells and the sea anemone will actually secrete a hard covering to help the shell itself to keep it like nice and hard as they are going around. But it's just so fun to have 2 little buddies hanging out. And I just saw about this, and I saw Stylobites calcifer, and I couldn't not share about this particular
That's great.
little friend.
Amazing.
So not
Also,
super
you should read
strange,
the
but
book
fun.
of. You should read the book of Howl's Moving Castle too. It's really good.
Ooh, I will put it on my list.
We have Calcifer literally up on the wall in our house.
Oh, it's
So.
deserved. He needs to be there. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I have for you all today. A fun little sea anemone living on the back of a hermit crab, and they just help each other out. Kind of wholesome.
That's awesome. Thanks for
That's
sharing
so
that.
sweet.
Makes
And
me
wholesome.
happy about things going on in the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was very
it's
cleansing after Victoria's story.
nice. I figured as well, yeah. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next week. Until then,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.